Chapter 2, The Hearth and the Hallow. The sky didn't just darken, it bruised. Purple and charcoal clouds swallowed the peak of morning, and the wind began to howl with a predatory hunger. "We aren't going to make the tree lean," Hero shouted over the roar, his hand tightening around Liliana's. He was pulling her now, his boots skidding on the slushy transition from frost to mud. "The festival. We're going to miss the opening." Liliana let herself be pulled, her dark silk robes whipping around her like trapped birds. She looked up at the sky, her violet eyes calm, almost bored. "I could stop it," she said, her voice cutting through the gale without her even raising it. "A single word, Hero, and I can tear these clouds into a clear blue sky." Hero stopped. He turned to look at her, rain already plastering his dark hair to his forehead. He was shivering, a violent, rhythmic tremor she felt through his palm. "No," he gasped, his teeth chattering. That's a miracle. We're saving those. Besides, a little rain never killed a swordsman. But a cliffside might. Follow me." He lunged toward a shallow overhang, a jagged slit in the mountainside that barely counted as a cave. It was cramped, smelling of damp stone and ancient dust, but it was dry. Hero collapsed against the back wall, his lungs burning. He immediately reached for his pack, his fingers fumbling with a flint and steel. His hands were blue-tinged and shaking so hard the metal clicked uselessly against the stone. Liliana stood at the mouth of the cave, completely dry. Not a single drop of rain touched her skin, the water simply curved around her as if she were shielded by an invisible glass bell. She watched him struggle with the fire, her expression unreadable. "You are freezing," she observed. It was a clinical statement, like a scholar studying a dying insect. "Your heart is racing. Your skin is losing its heat. If I do not intervene, you will suffer." "I'm fine," Hero managed, finally catching a spark. A tiny, pathetic tuft of dry moss began to glow. He shielded it with his body, blowing gently until a flickering orange tongue of flame licked at a few dry twigs. "See? I've got it." He looked up at her, his eyes bright even in his exhaustion. "Come here, Liliana. Get away from the edge. It's warmer back here." Liliana hesitated. Then, she stepped inside. As she crossed the threshold into the small circle of firelight, the shield around her vanished. The damp chill of the cave hit her, and for the first time in 3 centuries, she felt a phantom shiver. She sat opposite him, tucking her legs beneath her robes. The fire was tiny, barely enough to heat a cup of water, but Hero was huddled over it as if it were the sun itself. "Why?" she asked quietly. Hero looked up, his face orange in the glow. "Why what? Why refuse the magic? I could have made a palace here. I could have turned the rain to warm wine. You chose to shiver over a handful of burning sticks." Hero leaned back against the stone, his eyes softening as he watched the flames. "Because if you fix everything with a snap of your fingers, then tonight. It doesn't mean anything. It's just another Tuesday in eternity for you." He reached out, tentatively sliding a piece of his dry travel cloak toward her. "But this? This is us surviving a storm together. When you look back on this in 100 years, I don't want you to remember a palace. I want you to remember that it was cold, and that I was stubborn, and that we made it through anyway." Liliana looked at the cloak, then at Hero. She saw the notched sword leaning against the wall, the mud on his boots, and the raw vitality in his gaze. She felt a sharp, stabbing ache in her chest, the first symptom of a heart starting to beat again. "He's trying to make me remember him," she realized with a start. "He is weaving himself into my timeline, thread by agonizing thread." "You are a very dangerous person, Hero," she whispered, so low he almost didn't hear it over the thunder. "I'm a swordsman," he corrected with a tired wink. "Protecting you is the job. Even from a little cold." The storm didn't let up. It clawed at the mouth of the cave, screaming through the jagged rocks like a choir of ghosts. Across the small, sputtering fire, Liliana watched Hero. He was curled into a tight ball, his arms wrapped around his chest. Even in his sleep, his jaw was clenched, and his breath came in short, ragged puffs that blossomed into white mist. Every few minutes, a violent shudder would rack his frame, the kind of deep, bone-chilling cold that magic usually kept at bay. She stayed on her side of the cave for a long time. The stone beneath her was freezing, but she didn't feel it. Her body was a vessel of ancient power, and the temperature of the world was irrelevant to her. But Hero was 18. He was made of blood, bone, and a stubbornness that was currently failing him. He will wake up with a fever, she thought, her violet eyes tracking the rhythmic tremor of his shoulders. Or he will not wake up at all. A gust of wind, a drop in the mercury, and this spark is extinguished. Slowly, Liliana stood. Her silk robes hissed against the stone floor, the only sound beneath the thunder. She crossed the small circle of dying embers and sat beside him. The heat radiating from him was startling. It was a frantic, desperate warmth. Without a word, she reached out and pulled the edge of his travel cloak over both of them, then shifted until his back was pressed against her side. Hero groaned in his sleep, his body instinctively seeking the source of stability. He turned, his forehead bumping against her shoulder, his cold fingers clutching at the hem of her dark robes. Liliana stiffened. To be touched was a novelty, to be used as a blanket was an insult. And yet, as his shivering began to slow, replaced by the steady, heavy rhythm of deep sleep, she didn't pull away. She looked down at the top of his head. His hair smelled of rain and wood smoke. For the first time in 300 years, Liliana didn't look at the stars or the horizon. She looked at the boy beside her. You want me to remember this, Hero, she thought, a bittersweet ache blooming in her chest. I will. That is the problem. I will remember the heat of your breath on my shoulder for 1,000 years after you are gone. She didn't sleep. Witches didn't need to. She simply sat in the dark, a god acting as a windbreak for a mortal, watching the embers turn to grey ash.